He had become so difficult to deal with due to depression that he had lost his job as a doctor. When he was unable to make the housing payments, they cast him and his daughter, age 2, out onto the streets. They started to stray and suffered as a result. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. The man went into a restaurant to order a bite to eat after realizing that the girl had fallen from starvation, but the proprietor humiliated him by sprinkling him with cold water and chasing him out. But fate would see to it that their lives were changed. In addition to being a superb surgeon and doctor, Alfredo was also a very attractive young guy and Perla's great father. His wife, Victoria, led a contented life beside him. When they first met in medical school, they fell in love. They got married and started a family after finishing their education. They continued to quarrel after Perla was born since they both worked in the same hospital. Victoria made the decision to become a neurosurgery specialist, but her residency required her to complete it in a different location. Her mother looked after the girl while her husband worked, so Victoria had to drive around 70 kilometers each day to study. Victoria was driving home one day just before she finished the specialization when she lost control of the car and plummeted into a gully. Alfredo was shocked to hear the news and was unable to find a way to inform his daughter. He was responsible for identifying the body, and the sorrow was made worse when the young doctor's mother passed away suddenly from a heart attack after receiving the devastating news. The doctor undoubtedly received a lot of support from his peers and society at large as a result of the quadruple loss of mother and daughter. The sorrow undoubtedly spread across the nation. He went home with his daughter in his arms after the award received the funeral rites. He was distraught and utterly lost, not knowing where his life would go in the future. They granted him a week of leave in the hospital so that he could adjust to his new circumstances, but Alfredo failed to show up for the consultation on the Monday when he was supposed to show up again. He was summoned over and over by the hospital administration, but he never replied. They knew he didn't feel well, yet they still needed him to come in and take care of their patients. Alfredo arrived to work intoxicated the following day. Due to complaints from the other patients, they were forced to send him home with a warning that they would have to take him out of the hospital entirely if he continued the conduct. Alfredo was upset when he got home. He continued to drink till he became disoriented. Perla walked up to him, but he was not looking at her. The girl cried a lot because Dad forgot to get her a bottle, so he made the decision to have his mother come stay with him for a few days. He could never shake the memories of Victoria, and he struggled to come to terms with her passing. The impoverished man became intoxicated. When he eventually reported the situation to the hospital administration, they were uninterested in hearing about his complete month-long absence from work. All they gave him was a letter of termination, and another physician had already been hired. Feeling devastated, Alfredo went home and informed his mother of the situation. He started seeking for jobs at other hospitals after the woman tried to comfort him. But all doors closed on Alfredo when they contacted his former employer and revealed that they had fired him due to his poor treatment of patients. Desperation gripped him once more. He was once again left alone with the daughter, jobless and without money during those days, as her father had injured his leg and forced her mother to return to her village. Occasionally, a patient would come to him with money to buy food and milk, but clearly, his living conditions were far different from those of his time working with his wife. It was 6 months later. Because he was unable to pay the house costs, the real estate firm made the eviction official, leaving the man in that hopeless predicament until the worst happened. The well-known physician Alfredo and his daughter were consequently abandoned on the streets. The man chose to sell all of his possessions, including his furniture, after they were abandoned on the street. He proceeded to rent a place to live with the girl using the money he had gathered. That money lasted for 3 months, and then he realized he could not afford his living arrangements, so he found himself back on the streets with the child, eating nothing but walking around parks and different streets. This circumstance caused Perla to pass out the next day. Tearfully, Alfredo held his daughter and assured her that she would feed that day. They strolled for a few blocks before coming into a restaurant where an elegant, elderly woman was dining. Through the glass, Alfredo spotted her and made the decision to come in. He pleaded, "Madam, will you kindly give me a crumb of food for my child? We haven't eaten in days, so she passed out a few minutes ago," the ill guy remarked. "You certainly do, young fellow. Take a seat and keep me company." "Ask for what you want," the woman answered. The woman was asked to wait a moment by the waitress who came to collect her order. The woman came back with the restaurant's owner, a young, attractive, and conceited woman, who informed her that they would be sorry to serve the guy since he was a beggar who had arrived the day before to ask for food and had offended the other patrons. The customer answered, "Madam, please serve them what they ask for, because they're my guests and they're keeping me company, but they're not asking for anything." "Actually, I'm very sad to tell you that here we reserve the right of admission, and I cannot serve this man because my clients would always see him badly, and it would give my restaurant a bad image. So please ask him to leave," stated the property owner. Alfredo begged, "Ma'am, please have mercy on me," as he was confused. This gracious woman would cover the cost of our meal. That was the unfortunate man when the woman unexpectedly dumped ice water from a container on top of him. "This is an assault," said a well-groomed guy who entered the room just as Alfredo, drenched, was ready to leave. The owner of the business passed out from shock when the modest guy held him to subdue him and stop the crime. Alfredo went to the woman right away, gave her a checkup, and started cardiopulmonary resuscitation. When the ambulance finally came a few minutes later, the paramedics declared that Alfredo had saved her life, since the consequences would have been lethal if she had not been revived in time. The woman was informed by the paramedics that Alfredo was the reason she was still alive. She so tragically started sobbing and just gave him a hug. "I apologize, sir, for how I handled you. Despite the fact that I embarrassed you and your girl, you saved my life. I believe this is a gift from heaven that will impart a valuable life lesson to me. I swear to you that you will never go hungry again," the woman uttered as they loaded her into the ambulance to transport her to the hospital for a series of examinations. The waitress ordered Alfredo and the girl the greatest dinner in the house right then and there. She was able to order anything he want and consume. The woman who was going to extend the invitation to them was ecstatic and encouraged Alfredo to hold on to his faith, since life eventually restores what is rightfully ours. By a strange twist of events, a television reporter was present in the restaurant and used his cell phone to record the woman humiliating the doctor until he saved her life. Following the press coverage of his tale, Alfredo, the director of the hospital where he had previously worked, decided to offer him another opportunity. The kind deed undoubtedly altered Alfredo and his daughter's life once more. He also recovered his self-confidence back, and as if that wasn't enough, he re-established his romantic relationships with the restaurant owner, who fell deeply in love with the guy she had degraded. Perla was content once more. After they reclaimed the house that the real estate company had seized from them, stability returned to the house that they had built following that unfortunate and painful event. That's the tale for today, friends. We hope that this narrative has awakened your senses and that you will proceed with much greater caution while interacting with others. Perhaps we're looking down on someone because of their appearance, but we never know whether that person might be the one to get something that has the power to drastically alter our life. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.